ISTPs are characterized by their capacity for mastery, whether that's of physical tools and instruments or of systems. So without wasting too much time here, ISTPs should learn skills, practice them, and master them. I guess the most logical place to start for a personality type that values independence so highly is self-sufficiency. Feeding yourself, keeping your body healthy, learning to fix your car. If someone knows how to do all those things, then feel free to let me know. Anything that removes dependency, whether that's from your parents or from people that you'd otherwise have to pay to do a job for you. So apart from the survival skills, there's the more high level and specialized skills. One fascinating and kind of counterintuitive thing that happens with ISTPs is that they can become very innovative. So why would that be a surprising thing? ISTPs want to logically analyze the concrete reality in order to come to a conclusion. They're very concerned with what is and what I can do with what is. They also have extroverted intuition as their polar or worst function. So they're not concerned with the potential of a thing or the abstract implications of something. It's understanding what is manifestly in front of them. But ISTPs can get so good and so masterful that they manage to push their technical abilities to the point where they're creating new and novel things. They're not really even trying to do it. It just happens. Technique at its upper limits can be actually quite hard to imagine until you see it. Like when you see a tennis player hitting a crazy shot or a musician playing an extremely complex or fast piece. So, as an ISTP in the modern world, what are the best skills to actually learn? I know the popular answer at the moment, and the gut reaction most people have to that question, is to learn coding or programming. And actually, yes, that is a brilliant thing to learn, but it is becoming more and more commonplace. And since companies can outsource a lot of their work to freelance people online, you have this situation where coders and programmers from the countries with the lowest prices and rates actually undercut everyone else. So it's very dangerous to see that as a skill that just solves your problems. And just to be contrarian, whenever you see people strongly surging in a certain direction, for example, seeing younger people being brought up with this idea that programming is where they should invest their time and effort, it's always good to think about, okay, what are these people going to lack? What niche could I fill as the result of everyone surging away from certain skill sets? This is going to be very impractical advice and will sound like a cop-out, but learning how to learn is actually the best skill to acquire. For example, if you decided to learn a language, the first thing you do is figure out what are the most essential phrases to learn. But learning a language is extremely difficult. Well, at least for me. But you can apply that mindset to other skills that seem difficult. But when you ask that question, what are the essential aspects of a skill? They can be learned very quickly. An example of this would be video editing. You're presented with this new interface with whatever software you're using. There's endless options about what you can do and effects you can put on, and transitions. But if you boil down video editing to its bare essentials, it's simply cutting out bits of a video you don't want. If you know what buttons to press that allow you to do that, you can now edit videos. Once you've got the baseline skill, then you build from that. If you wanted to learn piano, I would say learn chords, learn scales, and then put them together. Of course, this advice could be given to anyone of any type, but the reason I think it's especially good for ISTPs is that they are kind of better placed than any other type to see through the unnecessary and laser in on what are the essential aspects of a skill that take you from novice to proficient in the least amount of time possible. You can use your introverted thinking and your extroverted sensing to peel away anything that slows down your progress, and you ignore the more SI tradition and TE standardized ways of learning. I'll often see people learning things and I'll ask them, so what's the reason behind that approach? And they'll say, oh, this is just the way you start. This is just the way it's done. And I'm like, can you just give me a logical reason of how that gets you closer to the skill you actually want to learn? So here's my challenge for ISTPs watching. Pick 2 skills to start learning. Don't be overly ambitious with them yet. When you're learning, momentum is an important concept. You don't want to set the goals too high that you won't reach them. They want to be just far enough out of reach that it feels like an achievement when you get there. Take some time, it doesn't matter if it takes days or weeks. Do your research and write down what are the key essential aspects of that skill that you need to focus on first. And just start learning them. Also, if there's any ISTPs out there that actually accept that challenge, then feel free to send us a video to our email address. We'd love to see if anyone actually ends up learning things as a result. So I give a similar bit of advice in the How to Win as an INTP video. ISTPs can actually make very good teachers, kind of for the reasons I've just mentioned. Their way of teaching is practical and results orientated rather than process orientated. It's not about a system of learning where you can tick off boxes. In a strange way, INTPs and ISTPs can satisfy their extroverted feeling and their desire to give back to people and be of use to people and of service by being the person that people come to learn a skill or have some kind of insight from or to fix something. If you imbue yourself with skills and abilities, you'll not only remove dependency on others, you'll also be able to help and improve and give back to the people that you care about.